extremely happy to be here together with a little group of family members and friends. And some of you will know that we initially had the plan to just elope and go to the south of Italy somewhere and have a wedding, just the two of us on the beach. But I think once we decided to sort of do it the way we've done it here, I think I can also speak for Jennifer that this was a much better way of doing it. To be with you and the people that I've met before, of course, in previous trips to the US. So yeah, that's the first thing I want to say, that I'm very, very happy about that. There are a lot of people I want to thank, and I'll just go through my list. First people I want to thank is John and Judy for giving us a very, very generous gift that allowed us to be here and organize this whole event and come over with the flights and everything. So I want to thank you for that. And I want to thank John for something else, probably even more important. I asked him a question a few days ago, to which he said yes. And the question was, after the wedding, can I call you Dad? And he said yes. So, Dad, I'm very happy to be able to call you Dad. Definitely. The next two people I want to thank is Scott and Linda, of course. Well, first of all, thanks very much for being our witnesses. That was great. And I think I want to thank, not so much thanks Scott, but sort of mention Scott separately. First of all, of course, I sort of gained a brother here, brother-in-law here. And Scott called us yesterday, last afternoon, wasn't it? And it was the first time I had Scott. I thought always Scott is a very cool, together guy. He had this complete, almost like mental breakdown, like, am I supposed to wear a suit? Am I not supposed to wear a suit? And we said, come with whatever you're wearing. But I'm very happy you didn't wear a suit, so you're looking very, very smart. So that's fantastic. The next person I want to thank is, there he is Aidan, our ring bearer. I asked him to perform, which I thought was a pretty important task. He did it very well, except instead of having a ring in my hand, I actually had a Swedish fish, first of all. It wasn't part of the rehearsal. No. It was very funny anyway. Of course, Aidan has been rewarded quite handsomely for this job anyway, because he received one super spec for every ring that he handed out. Yeah. And if you don't know what a super spec is, you have to go and talk to Aidan. He might be able to show you one. Unless he's eaten both of them already, which is an extremely likely case. Have you?
They're stashed away, I'm sure.
No, I'm sure you would have done it even without the Swedish fish and the super spec. I'm sure you would. Yeah. I also want to especially thank Mark, Uncle Mark, for two reasons. One is he's our cameraman here. Oh, there you go. Extreme close-up. Because not only did he mention to come here even though there's a terrible cold, he also travelled, and of course Anton as well, travelled for a long, long distance to actually be here. So we very much appreciate you both being here.
We're glad to be.
Absolutely indeed, yeah. Well, I guess the last person I want to thank is Jennifer, sitting right here. And I've got a whole lot of reasons why I want to thank you. First of all, of course, for saying I do, and giving the vows and being my wife. That's the most important reason I want to thank you. But I also want to thank you 20 years ago, roughly 20 years ago, when we were in a bar in the centre of London.
He was drinking tea.
Just tea and coffee, by the way. It was in the afternoon. It was all above board. And I saw this.
Drinking beer.
Can I do my speech?
I'm sorry, yes.
I saw this woman sitting there, and she kept looking at me, and of course she said I kept looking at her, but we were looking at each other. And I was just going to leave it by that, but she actually came up and talked to me. So I want to thank you for doing that 20 years ago. I also want to thank you for 18 years later, 2 years later, sending me an email and asking, are you the Hans that I used to date in London 18 years ago? Because again, if that hadn't happened, we wouldn't be here now. And finally, I want to thank you for the fact that last year, when asked to come to Holland, you said yes, and we now live together in Holland. So for all these reasons, I want to thank you very, very much. So, and the final thing I want to say is that I think you all know the history behind how we got to know each other. And you can look at the things like when I received that email 2 years ago, I happened to be not in a relationship. Could have been a completely different thing. I happened to have a job that brought me to New York, which allowed me to go and see Jennifer, which couldn't have happened. I also had a job that made me have to go to the US on a regular basis every month. And again, that's something that could have been completely different. All these things happened together, and therefore we're here now. And I think some people might call this, I don't know, coincidence or faith or pure luck. that it all happened, all these things fall into place. Of course, I think we can also say that our Creator looks upon us in a very favourable way. Otherwise, this wouldn't have happened. So the last thing I want to say is that I hope that we can all hope, and of course also pray, that He will continue to look upon us in a very favourable manner until the rest of our life. That's what I want to say. And now I think it's time to cut.